How you doing, folks? Ben Quell here, doing his weekly broadcast from the Foxhole. First of all, just want to give a review of Memorial Day last week. It really went terrific. We did a fantastic recording of the ceremony the Saturday before Memorial Day, and weather played great for us. The video came out awesome, thanks to everybody involved, especially Steve Ryerson, and it was very well received by the town. Also a big shout out to Carol and the CERT team. They got those 100 meals out to veterans and spouses, along with care packages put together by 2 volunteers in the town. Got a lot of thank you emails for that, so that was exciting. And the reverse parade was well received as well. Folks got out and went by each other's house, people they knew, gave a hit on the horn, and I think overall we had as good of a Memorial Day as we can hope for in these trying times. So I don't have a lot to report today, although I did have somebody ask me about a week ago. They keep hearing about the CARES Act, and oftentimes these big legislative packages are put together and folks don't know a lot about all the pieces of them or about them at all. So I just did a little bit of research, and I kind of want to center this specifically on veterans. Some of the things I'll talk about involve other people than just veterans, but how does the CARE Act help our veterans and their families? And there's a number of ways it can, because it's like a large piece of legislation. It has a lot of different moving parts to it. So if I could just go over a few of them, by all means. I'm not the subject matter expert here, but I think these things are important for folks to know about. So the first thing when it comes to the VA is not only does the VA deal heavily in physical health of veterans, but it also runs a very large operation for mental health. And with the pandemic going on, it's very important for veterans who are dealing with mental health issues to continue to get their counseling. And so one thing that the CARES Act did is it provided funding for the VA healthcare system to enter into short-term contracts with telecommunication companies so that they could set up these one-on-one, they call it VA's Video Connect. So it developed a software platform that could be downloaded, like for those people using Apple. There was a quick app that was free to download. For those people who had Androids, you didn't need to download anything. But it allowed for a very secure network connection to be made between a healthcare professional and the veteran to continue to have their sessions. And these could be done either one-on-one, they could be done on group sessions. And that's very important. We got a lot of veterans out there that are have PTSD issues. Some of them are on medications, and so they have to continue to have these sessions. For those individuals who are requiring physical health treatment, the VA was still doing appointments and still continues to do them. They just have a single entrance and exit point for those as well. So the care at the VA has continued to provide for our veterans. Also, what the CARES Act did, it provided an additional $20 billion around the country for just general veteran health care, which is always needed as more and more veterans come into the VA healthcare system. It also addressed unemployment. So for some out there who are probably already aware of this, in the state of Massachusetts, you apply for unemployment, it's going to provide you 60% of your last salary. But in addition to that, the CARES Act also added another $600 a month of financial relief. And this is going to continue right now, as we know it, through July of this year, unless they decide to extend that. So that was big for not just veterans, for a lot of people, to get that extra boost of cash each month for unemployment. It also addressed student loans. Any federally backed student loan, whether that be through a federal student loan payments, grants, or what have you, it will suspend the student from paying the loan for up to 6 months. And a lot of veterans are using, in addition to their educational benefits, they may still need to take some small student loans in order to cover the difference. And this will continue to the end of September. So they will, and this is of course penalty free. It just suspends it for 6 months. Anybody that's on like a work-study grant, they continue to get paid even though they're not able to actually report to the university or college that they're doing a work-study grant for. So that's also something that's covered in the CARES Act. Small businesses are really being impacted, of course, maybe even more so than the larger businesses. So if there is a veteran-owned small business, in the bill itself is something called the Paycheck Protection Program, which would allow one of these qualifying veteran-owned small businesses to take out small business loans to help with payroll issues during this coronavirus. And these come at an interest rate of 0% to very, very small, if there's even an interest rate at all. So that can help any small veteran-owned business. It also gave a lot of money to food banks. It gave, the CARES Act put about $450 million into a lot of food banks across the country. It has about $8.8 billion went to the school meals program. As we know, for a lot of low-income families, and some of them are veterans, they rely on school lunches, as their children do. And so it contributed another $8.8 billion so that schools could actually continue to provide lunches, even though there's no school, out to the communities for these low-income families. It also put another $15.5 billion into supplemental nutrition assistance programs, things like SNAP, for low-income individuals, including veterans. So it would allow them to continue to get their SNAP programs, which are basically like vouchers they can use at the supermarket. The CARES Act also allows individuals to tap into some of their retirement portfolio, some of their things like IRAs and 401ks. Typically, if you dive into these things before the age of, I think it's 59 and a half, you take a penalty. What the CARES Act's done is for anybody who's been diagnosed with COVID, so if a veteran or anybody has been diagnosed with COVID-19, or their spouse is diagnosed with COVID-19, or they can show that even though they haven't been diagnosed with COVID-19, they have been financially impacted by it, it does allow them to take up to $100,000 out of their IRAs, 401ks, penalty-free. And that also includes the TSP programs. Federal employees, they're on something similar to a 401k. It's called the Thrift Savings Plan. Again, that would normally come with a penalty for early withdrawals. This waives that 10% early withdrawal penalty for anything up to $100,000. This is just to let people get their hands on some sort of cash so that they can pay their bills. Mortgage relief. Any federally backed mortgage, we're talking Fannie, Freddie, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VHA, USDA has loans, Department of Veteran Affairs backs loans. Any of these federally backed loans, there is forbearance of having to pay your mortgage for up to 180 days. If it is a VA-backed loan, then after that 180 days goes by, you could apply for another 180 days. So it's possible that veterans that are impacted by this pandemic might not have to pay their mortgage penalty-free for upwards of a year. So as you can see, it's got a lot of important features to it that helps everybody, especially veterans. If you have any questions about it, you can certainly Google CARES Act. It'll kind of break it down for you to find out whether or not you could benefit from this. Okay, if you have any questions or concerns, veterans in the Hanover community, by all means, reach out to my office, 781-826-5000, extension 1107. Okay, stay safe, stay well.